Greetings dear friends, Dragon here once again. If it's your first time stumbling onto the channel, and do please consider clicking that red button and subscribing if you like what I do. Okay, it's Shawscope Volume 2 time again. We're just at about the halfway point. This is disc number 4, another disc with 2 movies on it. And we get the incredible Invincible Shaolin from 1978 and the fan favourite Kid with the Golden Arm from 1979. So as Invincible Shaolin is up first in terms of the overall timeline of Venom Mob movies, and because it's the first one that pops up on the disc, we will look at it first. One of my absolute all-time favourite Venom Mob movies, one of my favourite Chang Cheh movies, and one of my first Venom Mob movies. I think I saw 5 Deadly Venoms and Invincible Shaolin pretty much around about the same sort of time, thanks to the old Made in Hong Kong VHS. But just an absolutely fantastic slice of Shaw Brothers' late 70s kung fu action. Really, really good storyline. Some fantastic training sequences, which I'm always a big fan of, and just really, really great performances from all of the key players involved. And it's also one of the rarer movies that we get all the original 6 actors from the Venom Mob movie in here. So we get the 5 Venoms themselves, and we also get the student, we get Chang Cheh, but one of the rarer movies that still has Wei Pai in it before he decamped and went across to Golden Harvest to start making movies with Sammo Hung and with Jackie Chan. And for those that maybe don't know the storyline, once again we have our villain being played by Wang Lung Wei, who is plotting to try and set the North Shaolin and South Shaolin against each other. So he's called in representatives from both the North and the South to potentially train his troops, and then devises a plot where they're going to basically take each other out. So he has them spar against each other. They're reluctant to make it anything other than a friendly demonstration, and the North initially win. And the 3 North exponents, played by Sun Chen, Cheng Sheng and Liu Feng, who quite easily dispatch the South Shaolin representatives. The South Shaolin, before they can head back home, the villain intervenes and actually, spoilers, slays the 3 fighters from the South, so that basically the South end up thinking that the North Shaolin have been the ones that have killed their men as opposed to the general, and they decide to send more men with largely the same sort of result. And so this really inspires the beginning of the training sequences, where our 3 main kind of heroes from the South, so we get Philip Kwok, Ko Choi, we also get Wei Pai, the snake himself, and we get the wonderful Lo Mang, basically being the 3 that have to train up with specific techniques to kind of counter the techniques of the North. And that's really when the training sequences in the films kind of kicks off, and there's a lot of fun to be had there, particularly with Lo Mang, who gets to do Mantis boxing in the film, which is something that we really got to see. And Lo Mang was a Mantis boxing exponent, and it's what he trained in. So whilst I don't think this is exactly the style that he himself studied, it's pretty close to it. So you kind of get to see him kind of going through the rigors of training that sort of technique. He basically ends up inadvertently inventing resistance band training, and also does a huge amount of push-ups over an open well. And whilst I'm actually going through myself the Cancer Research 100 push-ups a day challenge for November, this resonates with me very much at the moment. I'm not doing them with eggs underneath my hands, which I maybe should do. It'll maybe make me even better, but yeah, great fun to be had in the training sequences, and then the action sequences that take place as they end up eventually kind of sparring against each other, pretty good. The underlying storyline also really good. We get some great support from Kar Wei, who kind of comes in as basically a sort of love interest for one of the North Shaolin. There's a kind of arranged marriage halfway through the film, which kind of feeds into the plot. That's about as much as I want to say. So if you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to spoil the various story points that it kind of goes through along the way, but suffice to say, it's just really absolutely fantastic, really well realised. One of the ones with the best sort of story to action ratio, which sometimes wasn't always the case. Sometimes they were a bit too action heavy, and action without a decent storyline underlining it can sometimes be a bit tedious. But the action that's on display here, really, really well thought out, really well choreographed by Robert Tai, and just all around one of the absolute best. So yeah, incredible to see this on here. Amazing to see this in such great quality. The restoration that Arrow have done on it, it looks absolutely glorious. It looks jaw-droppingly good compared to the old VHS that I saw, and compared to the IVL DVD. It's really quite a massive, significant, massive bump up into the 2K restoration. And the extras that are on here really split across the 2 different movies, so they largely share, for the most part, they share the same extras, which we'll get to in a little minute. Glorious cover art on the menu screen and in the page in the booklet by the wonderful Tony Stella, which you can see here. And then extras wise, we once again dive into the glorious archives of Frederic Ambroisine, and we get an interview from 2003 with the choreographer and stuntman Robert Tai, who worked extensively on these 2 movies, which runs for about 24 minutes. He's not shy of his opinions, is maybe the polite way to say it. It's a pretty entertaining interview. He kind of disses, low-level disses Chang Cheh and Lau Kar Long along the way, and it's pretty entertaining to watch. He's not shy of extolling his own virtues, shall we say, but overall really, really entertaining. My wife picked up on the fact that he's speaking a weird mix of Mandarin and Cantonese. I think he's originally from Taiwan. So he's basically kind of speaking Mantonese. He kind of fuses the two languages together at various points, which is pretty entertaining to listen to if you know the language. But overall, yeah, just a really entertaining interview, and one that I think is kind of one of the highlights of these Frederick Ambrosine interviews that we've had so far. It's kind of really, really entertaining. It's also a really, really wonderful visual essay created for the set, one of the best visual essays that I've seen Arrow produce. And this is hosted by the incredible Terence J. Brady, the author of the Alexander Fusheng biography, biography of a Chinatown kid, called Poison Clan Rocks the World. It runs for about 27 minutes and really is a great deep dive into the various different movies that group of actors that we know as the Venom Mob made. Really well put together, really beautifully edited, and it's always a treat getting Terence J. Brady involved. He did one of my favourite commentaries on Volume 1. I did the commentary for The Chinatown Kid, unsurprisingly. Would have been really nice if he'd come back to do a commentary for one of these two movies, which is sadly not the case, but really, really do appreciate that he's taken the time out to make what is easily, for me, one of the best visual essays that Arrow have produced on of the ones that I've seen so far. Really, really great. And that's the main two extra features across both films. In the case of Invincible Shaolin, we also get 3 trailers. We get the Hong Kong theatrical trailer in Mandarin and in English, and we get the digital reissue trailer. We get a 52 image gallery, which is mostly kind of centered on lobby cards and some of the alternate covers for the movie through its various releases. A lot of German lobby cards in there, but all around a really great mix. And that is pretty much it as far as Invincible Shaolin goes. One of my, like I say, one of my absolute favourite Venom Mob and Chang Cheh movies. So just an absolute treat to have this gloriously remastered, looking so good, and with some really kind of thought-provoking and really well-rounded extras to go along with it. Yeah, the movie way, way up there alongside Five Deadly Venoms and Crippled Avengers as kind of being my sort of holy trilogy of Venom Mob movies. The other film on the set is The Kid with the Golden Arm, from a year later, from 1979. This is probably the more popular amongst fans. It's certainly kind of, particularly in America, incredibly popular, I think, thanks to how extensively it played on the Black Belt Theatre back in the day. An awful lot of people would have grown up absolutely loving this movie, particularly with its English dub. The plot, for anyone who's not familiar with the movie, is that essentially there's a MacGuffin of a shipment of gold, which is destined by the government to be sent up to a famine-starved area to try and help the people out there. It's been entrusted to Yang Hu-yun, played by Sun Chen, but who gets wind very early on in the movie that the villainous Chai Shai gang has intentions to try and steal the gold. They have 4 chiefs. We get an incredible opening sequence that talks us through the various different chiefs of the gang. We get Golden Arm himself, played by Lo Mang. We get Silver Spear, played by Lu Feng. We get Iron Robe, played by the wonderful Wang Lung Wei. And we get Brass Head, played by Yang Soon. As they are essentially the 4 chiefs of our gang who have made their intentions to steal the gold known. So then it becomes a case of Sun Chen and his men attempting to try and protect the shipment. Along the way, they're aided by Long Axe and Short Axe played by Cheng Sheng. They also hire swordsman Li Qingming, played by Wei Pai, and his girlfriend, Leng Feng, played by Helen Poon, to also help protect the shipment. And along the way, they also kind of encounter a government agent, the drunken master agent Hai To, played by Ko Choi. So essentially it's up to the gang to try and steal the gold away from our heroes, using every despicable trick in the book, including an awful lot of poison, taking over kind of small areas, attempting to try and ambush them along the way. Lots and lots and lots of action. This one is probably more action heavy than Invincible Shaolin, and the plot can be a little bit convoluted at times, a little bit confusing to know exactly what's going on, particularly there's some double crossing that I don't want to kind of say any more about in case you've not seen the movie. But all around, really well realised, some wonderful performances, some wonderful costumes, and some, as we would expect, incredible choreography. Yeah, absolutely fantastic movie. As we'd explained on Invincible Shaolin, the extras that are on here largely shared between the two movies. So if you access the special features from the Kid with the Golden Arm menu, you will also get the same Poison Clan Rocks the World visual essay and the interview with Robert Tai. Though in the case of Golden Arm, we also get seamless branching being used to give us an alternate cut. There was a little bit of a out of continuity fight between Iron Robe, played by Wang Lung Wei, and Agent Hai To, and the seamless branching feature enables this to be kind of viewed the way that it was in the original camera negative. But when you watch the film normally, if you select just the normal kind of play movie option from the menu, you'll see it kind of playing out in the more correct chronological order. Alternate languages available for not just the alternate cut, but for the movie too. So we get Mandarin and English audio. Didn't mention, but there's also a rare mono Cantonese dub for Invincible Shaolin, which is nice to hear. But the alternate cut is the main other extra for Golden Arm, along with different versions of the opening titles. So we get a textless version of the opening credits, and we also get the English opening credits. So we can get English audio, which hasn't been remastered, so you can see what the movie used to look like back in the day. Again, Arrow's 2K restoration looks absolutely glorious. Really, really good. A massive improvement over the old IVL DVD. The films have really, really never looked better. And my only real criticism across both movies would have been, I would have absolutely adored to have a commentary track on either of these two. There's quite a few films on Volume 1 and on Volume 2 do not have commentary tracks, so I've endeavoured to try and make commentaries for these myself. I'm doing commentary tracks across my Patreon page. First one up is going to be a commentary for 88 Films' release of Clan of the White Lotus, which should be up by the time that you're watching this video, or very close after. And you can jump over and take a little look at the Patreon page in the link below if you're interested in hearing me ramble my way through the various Shaw Brothers movies that haven't had a commentary so far. And in due course, I will do absolutely commentaries for both of these, because they're two firm favourites with me. And that is pretty much it. That is Disc 4. I'm very aware that we're hurtling ever closer to the box set being officially released. I think it's the end of November in the UK and the first week in December in the US. So I will endeavour to try and get through all of the other 4 discs over the next coming 2 weeks. We'll kind of try and ramp up the pace a little bit. Next one up, Disc 5, is going to give us Magnificent Ruffians and the 10 Tigers from Kwantung, which I'm excited to get into. Thank you so much to everybody for watching this. I've been the Fanatical Dragon. I will see you on the next one. Take care.